July 2025. While the world's gaze was fixed elsewhere, on the Straits of Taiwan, on distant superpower tensions, another crisis ignited in the shadowed borderlands of Southeast Asia. It began with a single, shattering explosion. In the early hours of July 23rd, the silence of Nam Yuen district, Ubon Ratchathani, was broken by the detonation of a landmine. 5 Thai soldiers fell, wounded and writhing. The earth, already scarred by decades of conflict, had claimed new victims. In an instant, the ghosts of history returned to the living. Thailand's leaders were quick to accuse. Cambodia planted new mines, they declared, voices taut and urgent. Across the border, Cambodian officials issued their own rebuttal. This was the work of unexploded ordnance from wars long past, not a deliberate act of aggression. But in the borderlands, truth is often the first casualty. Beneath the red soil, beneath every accusation, lay more than just explosives. There smoldered the embers of old hatreds, unfinished wars, and the weight of a century's worth of grievances. For over 100 years, this border has been a line drawn and redrawn by the ambitions of empires. The 1907 French-Siamese Treaty first carved the land, slicing through villages, sacred groves, even families. But it was in 1962, when the International Court of Justice awarded the Preah Vihear Temple to Cambodia, that the wound truly festered. For both nations, Preah Vihear is more than stone. It is a symbol of sovereignty, of history, of national pride. And in the summer of 25, pride erupted into powder. The hours after the landmine blast were a descent into chaos. In Tam Mon Tam, artillery thundered. Thai F-16s roared overhead, unleashing fire across the disputed ridges. Cambodian batteries answered in kind. In the villages, the world fractured, children clutching parents, families fleeing through smoke and shrapnel, schools hastily transformed into bunkers. Diplomats, once quick to offer reassurances, fell into a heavy silence. International envoys soon bore grim witness. This wasn't just another border skirmish, remarked a UN peace official. We saw a coordinated escalation. Jets, drones, long-range artillery. It was war. Civilian casualties mounted. By July 26th, at least 32 lives had been lost, more than 20 of them non-combatants. Up to 200,000 people were forced to flee, carrying little more than memories and fear. Yet in 25, war is not fought only on the ground. It is waged in the airwaves, on screens, in the feverish pulse of social media. Thai and Cambodian news channels fed their audiences a steady diet of nationalism and outrage. In Bangkok, a government beset by scandal wrapped itself in the flag, invoking ancient enemies. In Phnom Penh, power brokers summoned old resentments, their rhetoric sharpening with each passing hour. On TikTok and Telegram, young soldiers on both sides posted shaky videos from the front, moments of bravado, of terror, of confusion. Historians and analysts peered through the fog of war. Both sides needed a distraction, one observed. There were whispers of leaked calls, crumbling coalitions, economic unrest. War became their rallying cry. And behind the curtain, the shadows of 2 political titans loomed. Thaksin Shinawatra and Hun Sen, their legacies and ambitions echoing in every decision, every shell that fell. The world could no longer look away. International organizations scrambled for answers. The United Nations convened in urgent session. ASEAN, the region's collective voice, teetered on the edge of panic. Even faraway superpowers took notice. The United States, now led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, declared, "We cannot allow this crisis to spiral. Our officials are on the ground in Malaysia, supporting peace negotiations." The stakes were high, not just for the combatants, but for the region and the world. Malaysia, current chair of ASEAN, emerged as the unlikely mediator. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim extended a hand to both sides, hosting emergency talks in Kuala Lumpur. On July 28th, Acting Thai Prime Minister Phumtham Wachayachai and Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet arrived, their entourages heavy with expectation and suspicion. The hope was for peace, but the wounds ran deep. All the while, the cost of conflict mounted. The border closure shattered economic ties, halting nearly $5 billion in annual trade. In Cambodia, the impact was especially severe. Tourism, once a lifeline, comprising nearly 9% of the nation's GDP, collapsed as travelers stayed away from the embattled region. Thai tourism, largely insulated by distance, weathered the storm, but the losses cut deep on both sides. Beyond the numbers, families were separated, livelihoods destroyed, futures cast into uncertainty. On the ground, the fighting slowed but did not cease. A tentative ceasefire flickered into existence. A pause, not a peace. Refugee camps swelled along the border, filled with the displaced, the wounded, the grieving. The world watched as diplomats haggled over maps and mistrust, as generals eyed each other across scarred fields. At the diplomatic table in Kuala Lumpur, Cambodia agreed to unconditional talks, but Thailand hesitated, demanding proof of sincerity, assurances of security, reparations for the wounded. In the hushed aftermath, as the gunfire faded, a brittle silence settled over the borderlands. The smoldering ruins of temples and villages bore witness to the cost. Children, bewildered and exhausted, huddled in makeshift camps. Soldiers lowered their weapons, their faces etched with fatigue and doubt. The land itself seemed to ache with memory, the memory of lines drawn in colonial ink, of treaties and betrayals, of battles fought and never truly ended. In this war, the dead were not just soldiers. The casualty was trust, a faith shattered between neighbors, between peoples once bound by shared history and culture. The border remains a scar, jagged and raw, waiting for the next spark. As of August 2025, the guns are mostly silent. Ceasefire talks in Malaysia continue, but no agreement has yet resolved the tangled claims and bitter resentments. The world holds its breath, hoping that old wounds can heal, that new tragedies can be averted. But here, on the edge of Southeast Asia, history is never far beneath the surface, and peace may only be borrowed, never truly bought. In times of crisis, every voice counts. The recent conflict between Thailand and Cambodia has left countless families displaced, economies shattered, and trust in ruins. This war, driven by old grievances and political agendas, has brought nothing but suffering to innocent people. Now, more than ever, your perspective matters. Share your thoughts, raise awareness, and join a community committed to peace and understanding. Support this channel to help ensure these vital stories are heard far and wide.